Hey there, fourth graders. We are on Unit 3, Lesson 15 today. We'll be learning about subtraction, which is also known as, or AKA, when we undo addition. Now, remember when I showed you in the last lesson we ungroup? We're essentially undoing the addition that has been done. So I have an example word problem here to show you, and then we'll get started. This one says, 400 children enrolled at school in the fall. 257 kids are in 3rd or 5th grade, or 3rd through 5th grade. How many kids are in kindergarten through 2nd grade? So the first thing I have is one of these break-apart drawings that we've done in earlier units. On these drawings, you put the total up top, which the total here is how many children are enrolled, so 400. And then each of these arms that extend down equal a number that will total, and when added together will equal the 400. So we have one of those pieces to our puzzle, which is 257 kids that are in 3rd through 5th grade. This piece here is missing, so that'll be the kids that are in kindergarten through 2nd grade. So in order to solve, I have to think 257 plus how many kids will equal the 400 children enrolled. Well, in order to do that, I can subtract 400 minus 257. So here we have another problem where we have to borrow all the way from the hundreds place. I don't have any ones and I don't have any tens, so I have to go to the hundreds to borrow. So remember that I'm going to need to get 10 ones, which in order to do that, I've borrowed from the tens, so there's only 9 left. When I borrowed those, I borrowed from the hundreds place, so now there's only 3 left. I'll show you that with a place value drawing. So I borrowed here, broke the first hundreds box down into 10 of those 10 sticks. Because remember, 10 of these 10 sticks is like taking 10 times 10, which is 100. Then I borrowed, ungrouped one of those 10 sticks so that I have 10 single ones. So here you can see, represented with the drawing, where all of my numbers are. So the 10 ones represented here in the tens place. The 9 10 sticks, because one of them has been ungrouped here. And then the 300 box is represented here because the 1 has been crossed out and ungrouped for us to solve. So now I can start the subtraction. 10 minus 7 is 3, 9 minus 5 is 4, and 3 minus 2 is 1. So our answer to this problem would be 143 kids are in kindergarten through 2nd grade. Now if I wanted to recheck my problem to make sure I've done my math correctly, I could add those two numbers together, 257 plus 143, to make sure I do get 400. 7 plus 3 is 10, carry the 1. 1 plus 5 is 6, plus 4 is 10. 1 plus 2 is 3, plus 1 is 4. So as you can see here, ungrouping to do subtraction is the same as undoing addition. On this page, I just wanted to, once again, go through and walk you through how to ungroup the addition or undo the addition that we've done. Borrowing in subtraction is essentially ungrouping so that you have enough numbers to subtract from. So with this original drawing, I had 4 of these hundreds boxes, but because I didn't have any ones or tens, I had to borrow from that hundreds box and ungroup it or undo that addition. So when I did that, I ended up with 10 of the 10 sticks because remember 10 of these 10 sticks, if just one of them, you can imagine 10 teeny dots on each line. So that's 10 times 10, so 100 that these 10 sticks create. But again, I was still missing ones, so I had to ungroup one of the 10 sticks so that I have 10 single circles here. So that was represented in the ones place with the 10 single ones. Represented in the tens place because I had to ungroup one of them, I only had 9 left. And because I had to ungroup one of the hundreds boxes and borrow from there, I only ended up with 3 of those hundreds boxes. So that's why when we solve, 10 minus 7 gives me 3, 9 minus 5 gives me 4, and 3 minus 2 gives me 1. That's how we end up with 143 in the break-apart drawing. Like I showed you on the first slide, I showed you how you can use addition to check your subtraction. So on this slide, we'll be doing that. We'll use our addition to then check to make sure our subtraction is correct. Oftentimes, kids make a lot more mistakes on subtraction than they do addition, so it's always a good idea to double check our work. So here, 7 plus 3 gives me 10, carry the 1. 1 plus 5 gives me 6 plus 4 is 10. 1 plus 2 is 3 plus 1 is 4. So here I was checking to make sure my answer of 143 from the subtraction was correct by then adding the two numbers 257 plus 143 to see if I got that total, about 400. And it does work, so then I know that my math was correct. Let's try it with a new problem. In this case, I have 500. That's the greater number, so I'll put that on top, minus 268. First things first, I know I'm going to need to borrow. I don't have any ones to work with or tens, so remember that's like ungrouping the hundreds, so I have 4. I've borrowed from the tens, so that becomes a 9 because I need 10 ones to work with. So now I can go ahead and solve. 10 minus 8 is 2. 9 minus 6 is 3. And 4 minus 2 is 2. Now, I could just go ahead and say, boom, done, found my answer. But I want to double check using that addition. So I'm going to add the two numbers together to see if I get the total 500. So 268 plus 232. 8 plus 2 is 10, carry the 1. Oops, make that look better like a 0. 1 plus 6 is 7, plus 3 is 10. 1 plus 2 is 3, plus 2 is 5. Excellent. So my math was correct. If the addition ever turns out incorrect for you, you'd know to go back to your subtraction and check your work. On your homework today, you'll see a few problems like this, where they'll give you two word problems that are linked together. This one says, the library has 134 nonfiction books and 278 fiction books. How many books do they have all together? Well, all together, this is an addition problem. So all I need to do is add the nonfiction books plus the fiction books to get how many books they have all together. So let's go ahead and get started. I'm going to put the larger number on top. Notice how right away I noticed I was doing the opposite and just writing the first number. It's always good to get in the habit of putting the larger number on top first. So 278 plus 134. I'm going to go ahead and move my work down here because I use the carry above method. So 8 plus 4 is 12. Carry the 1 to the next place. 1 plus 7 is 8. Plus 3 is 11. 1 plus 2 is 3. Plus 1 is 4. So altogether there are 412 books. Always make sure when you're copying your answer, you're copying the right number over. I almost made a mistake there. Now, let's go on to the next piece of this question. Here it says, the library knows how many books it has altogether and how many fiction books it has in its collection. What subtraction problem could be used to find how many nonfiction books there are? So this is essentially a problem where we're just going to be using the information that we have, the books that the library has all together, and the fiction books, which, remember from up above, they had 278 fiction, and total they had 412. So 412 and 278. They want us to use a subtraction problem to find how many nonfiction books there could be. So essentially I would take the total, which remember is 412, and I would subtract the fiction books, which remember is 278 from above, and then that would give me how many nonfiction books they have. So it would look like this. 412 minus 278 equals 134 nonfiction. So I've just reordered the numbers to show a subtraction equation instead of an addition equation. Now it's your turn. I've given you two problems that are linked, just like the one I did with the library, except this time you're looking at a bakery. So number 1 is up top here, and number 2 is directly related to number 1. So you'll use the information to help you answer. This one says, the bakery has 452 cupcakes on display and 145 cupcakes in back. How many cupcakes do they have all together? Keyword there. Then number 2 is linked. You'll be using information from number 1 to help you with number 2. The bakery knows how many cupcakes it has all together and how many cupcakes it has in back. What subtraction problem could be used to find how many cupcakes are on display? So by the time you solve number 1, you'll have all the information you need to solve number 2. Good luck. I know you will do very well.